Well, today is the 1st of April. The last 2 weeks clearly have been no laughing matter. As such, I thought I'd do my part, for better or worse, and translate some German military jokes from books from 1938 and 1941. Be aware those jokes don't cover the Second World War, but prior times from Frederick the Great up to the First World War. Of course, some are general in nature. For World War II jokes, be sure to check out my previous video, which also covers the legal situation about jokes and the Third Reich, which I won't cover in this one. Anyway, let's look at the jokes. Let us start with Frederick the Great. When Frederick the Great was once again making preparations for war, a curious court snitch wanted to know against whom the troop movements were directed. "Can he be silent?" asked the king. "As the grave, your majesty." "So can I," was the king's reply. About Frederick's New Year's Eve wishes, someone noted, "Frederick the Great to his officers in 1787. Your Majesty sends your hearty congratulations on the new year to all good officers, and wishes the rest to conduct themselves in such a way that they may continue to congratulate them in the future." Back in those days, it was always a good idea to know one's family tree. "But what is your whole name?" Frederick the Great asked the general of a long and unpronounceable name, which for the sake of brevity was called Zaremba. "Your Majesty," the general answered, "my name is Chiari Zari Quorum Bari Zi Zaremba." "Ah, the devil can't be called like that." "Yes, your Majesty. He's not from my family." We also have one about the Napoleonic era as well, and it's a pretty neat one. When Napoleon on his retreat from Moscow arrived on the banks of the Niemen River, he asked the ferryman who was ferrying him whether many French deserters had already crossed over. "No," the latter replied, "you are the first." Next are the jokes set during or around the First World War. This one is about the physical examination. It was in 1917, and at that time the army command was already taking people who were not directly descended from the well-known beautiful Apollo. So the military physicians held terrible muster among the second and third garniture. A slim-faced upholsterer assistant with a face full of florets, I think this refers to pimples, that looks like cheap wallpaper is sniffed for fitness to serve in a harness. The man stutters in an exemplary manner. "What is your profession?" asks a chief medical officer. The upholsterer sputters up, to which the chief medical officer replies, "Fit for war, machine gun battalion." It is always recommended to make sure that your communication equipment works. From time to time, the regimental commander personally checks whether the telephone lines to the individual companies are in order. Once again, he picks up the phone, presses the button, and asks the 6th company, "Tell me, is it raining cats and dogs where you are?" In the deepest bass comes out of the shell, "You simpleton, don't you think the sun is shining over here?" Of course, it wouldn't be military jokes if latrines would be left out. During the war, the little war newspaper issued a contest for the funniest trench story. The story was to be no longer than 200 words. The first prize was won by a Saxon for the following story. "Our company has a latrine. It used a plank. This was sought by our company creep." That's 15 words, at least in German. The other 185 were spoken by our vice sergeant after he got out of the pit. The next one is about the advance in Galicia in 1915. Requisitioning was forbidden since it was Austrian soil. When the battery reached the bivouac site after a 30-kilometer march, Gunner Habermas appears and reporting to the sergeant that the goose has got under our right howitzer wheel. I've brought it forward quickly so it can still be roasted." Very good, Habermas. Come to me later and get a piece of roast too." "No need, sergeant. One got under the left wheel too." Yeah, I know that problem. Happens to me all the time as well in Red Red Redemption. Although I haven't unlocked the howitzer yet. In training, it is always good to pay attention. The question is if it is necessary. The Light Infantry Battalion has recruited volunteers. In the instruction lessons, the sergeant explains the rifle. This part is called the stock, this one the barrel. This is the trigger. You, the second one back there, watch out or you will never learn. What is your civilian profession? The man, gunsmith, sergeant. The next one is a proverb. We do not fear the thunder of guns. but the impact of the shells. The following jokes are more of a general nature. Let us start off with the natural enemy of any person that wants to get something done, the bureaucracy. A colonel was given a new command. In the regimental office he found mountains of ancient files that had long since been closed. He decided to clear the air and ask permission from the Corps headquarters to destroy the files. The answer came, yes, but make sure you have copies made first. This one in a way reminds me of the time when I was a conscript. During maneuvers, the colonel rides past the company and wishes the captain, whom he knows personally, good morning. One of the soldiers now thinks that the colonel has wished the whole company good morning and yells, "Good morning, colonel!" When the colonel has passed, the captain asks, "Who was the idiot?" The answer comes anonymously from the whole company, "The colonel from Biederstein." We already covered geese, so I guess we cover likely the most important military animal as well. The sergeant asks, "Which of you can handle horses?" 18 men step forward. "What is your civilian occupation?" "Farmer, sergeant." "Then you also have horses in heaps." "Aye, aye, sergeant, 6. "Good, and you, Rotacker? Do you have also horses?" "Aye, aye, sergeant, 20. "Then you must be a large landowner." "No, sergeant, carousel owner." For more information about German military horses, check out my previous video on this topic. The final one is not really a military related joke, but it is good and from those books as well, so I included it. The famous painter Adolf von Menzel was once sitting in a restaurant when a noisy party took a seat at the next table. Menzel soon noticed the boisterous young people were making fun of him and his small figure. He pulled a sketchbook out of his pocket and began to draw. As he did so, he kept glancing at one of the ladies in the party. This made her uncomfortable, and finally her companion came to Menzel to forbid that the painter should draw the lady without permission. The painter handed the picture to the young man and asked calmly, "Is this the lady?" With a red head, the young man moved away, because it showed a goose. A bit of context here, at least in Austria during my youth, goose was a common lower grade insult against women, usually in combination with dumb. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little flanking maneuver into the more cultural side of war. If you like what you see, consider supporting me on Patreon or Subscribestar. Big thank you to all of you who already do or did support me there. As always, sources are listed in the description. Thank you for watching and see you next time.